still the conversation here on Lagos Television. Now, as Nigeria continues a journey towards nation building, there are questions over whether this progress is being measured by genuine growth or patriotism, or if it is driven by partisanship or politicking, as we'd like to call it in the local parlance. On the conversation this morning, we'll be taking a look at national rebirth between patriotism and politicking. And of course, for many, especially the players on the political scene, you probably just need to keep your eyes really open to know whether or not issues are being handled with every sense of patriotism, or if it is just about politicking. Perhaps this morning we'll be able to find a balance between both words, or again, even find better meanings to what patriotism should be and what politicking should be. We have our guest in the house as a friend of the house, and of course, we're always glad to have him in the studio with us anytime he's available. Join me this morning as I welcome Akin Fatunke. Of course, there's the MD, CEO, Kronikla Associate, and is also communications consultant. Thank you, Mr. Fatunke, for finding time to be with us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Beams. Always a pleasure to be with you.
You have actually gone to Benue State this morning.
Yes.
I can see your cap.
Patriotism, determinism,
Okay.
focus, and the fact that what should continue to bind us should be much more than what divides us.
Right.
So I decided to go
The Benue way this
to
morning.
the Boko, my
The
Boko friend.
Boko people this morning of Benue
The
State.
thieves, yes.
The thieves, yes. I can see your cap, the white and cap, white and black insignia you're wearing this morning. And I think that's what, like you said, what should actually bind us should be over what divides us as a people. But let's start this way. When we talk about national rebirth, or when we talk about national rebirth in nation building, what exactly are we talking about? Because it feels like sometimes we just speak a lot of grammar, and a lot of Nigerians cannot connect the dots as to what exactly some of these things do mean to the layman. And so when we say national rebirth, what should Nigerians really know about what national rebirth is, and how can everyone key into the principles of national rebirth?
Merci beaucoup, Beams. Again, we started by talking about patriotism, love, devotion to a cause, in this case, to a country. And then, of course, the public space, politics or politics, I always try to add that, essentially looks at the friction between a genuine civic responsibilities.
Absolutely.
That talks about others before self, that talks about country before self, that talks about, the basic objectives and the vision and mission and the values that surrounds our progress should not be tainted by our fault lines, ethnicity, religion, class, and to be all-inclusive. So it essentially recognizes the fact that that critical element is broken.
Right.
Between politics, politicking, and patriotism. Yeah. So what most from the sociological aspect that Margaret Freud has prescribed, we say, look, let's do a reawakening. Let's do a refocusing. Let's remind ourselves that we are far off from the mark.
Okay.
And in trying to be far off from that mark comes your point to me. So what is reawakening? Now, reawakening can be taken from maybe 2, 3 broad dimensions. One will be beyond the rhetorics. Okay, so it's not just a deliberate, attitudinal, structural, and ethical transformation on our way to growth and development. Growth and development. Growth without development does not take us there.
Absolutely.
For most times, that is what you see. Should have to be all-inclusive. I'll give you an example. The Jackpot syndrome that we are talking about. Okay, so how do you see that? You are trained, you are brought up in Nigeria, and then suddenly you find yourself on this economic migration. And there are reasons for it. Because people are not finding fulfillment. People are not finding competitive reasons why they should continue to be in an employment that delays salaries.
Okay.
The nurses during COVID were being paid 5,000 naira for crying out loud. Even when at that time, General Buhari said, look, the thing should
be increased.
Should be buoyed up, and nothing was done with it. What did you expect?
Okay.
So that's trust that says to citizens, I can guarantee you're being fair. Beyond monetary salaries, I can look after your welfare. I can guarantee that I can give you trust and security.
Okay.
To now do what you now then call Jakwada, which is some of the things that we are
that is happening
so
now.
beyond that, also the civic awareness that now says to you and I that we have to be active, we have to be, and by so doing, patriotic. We not only need to be active, we need to be accountable.
Right.
We need to think of others
before us,
or make sure that I've taken my own field. The others can be
not bothered
bound
about others.
to the Philistines. So that basically is the reawakening that civil society, as some NGOs, national orientation begin to preach, and we begin to teach that in school at all levels.
Mr. Fatunke, I'm glad you actually mentioned 3 organizations, because my next question was going to be National Rebirth or Reawakening, like you've also called it. Who should champion the cause? Because oftentimes we also think that government also needs to lead by example. If government also has a problem believing in something, how then can government champion the cause? You've mentioned the NOA. The NOA is a government initiative. You've mentioned civil society organizations, and it feels like we're having a decline of the CSOs in Nigeria as we speak. So who should bail the cats in this space? Because these other people you've mentioned, however we want to look at it, they're still under the, well, maybe 2 of them under the control of government, either at the federal or at the state level. Should it be just about these 3 people, 3 organizations that you've mentioned, or is this something that we need to start personalizing as individuals? Like some other will also say, perhaps we need to also take this to individual homes. What are your thoughts on who should champion this cause?
The championing should be from the base of the pyramid, the home level, the primary school indoctrination and education. Okay. What we tell our wards, what we tell our children. When you see somebody from some other tribe, run away from them, and then you begin to
just say, feed their young minds.
If you don't speak a particular language, and you don't do a tabula rasa, you don't do a clean slate. Yes, somebody did something to me, at one point in time, you begin to carry those rhetorics along, and then you begin to feed all that. And that will take me to a point that you have unearthed within me. Religion. Religion. Opium of the poor, opium of the masses, Karl Marx said. And if one is not careful, religious insurgencies are such that by the time it comes, just like sports, you know, you are a sport enthusiast, you are looking after some teams, you begin to fight in-house. So religion, which is basically imported, now begins to say that certain things, certain ethos, certain preconceived notions are the ones you should follow, forgetting the fact that it is character, it is competence, it is of capacity, and you know, a consciousness at the end of the day that you should be of help.
Okay.
So you go acquire a Rolls Royce and then you put it on a road that is not well tarred. You steal a lot of money of public funds, forgetting that a day may come in July that you may sleep and not wake up.
Absolutely.
As we had, you know, under Abacha. So the religious intolerance, like I said, like sports, got into Africa, and we have absorbed it hook, line, and sinker, and it is now dovetailing and making points about our politics.
I'm glad. I'm glad you went there.
As opposed to what is the competence. So I enter a surgical ward for an operation, and my life is dangling in between. Doesn't matter if I see somebody who is wearing a veil or somebody who is wearing a cassock.
The most important thing should be me coming alive.
If this particular person, doesn't matter if this person is a small girl, a big girl, a medium-aged, the trust and belief that I have institutions that has not been weaponized. I have institutions that is not short-sighted into politics, of, which is what politics looks at. Have institutions that says I must not be prepender, I must not get it, and once it is my turn, I now stuff myself into the whole box, and I close my eyes when I see things that are glaringly wrong, if they are to mine and my own, and then of course shouts at the rooftops is also a truism that makes you not to be able to acknowledge the good that you see in others, for whatever reason it's short, short on your own side. Oh, that is nice. Oh, can I learn from you?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks great. And I should not now be putting myself forward in communications that I know is your own forte, and vice versa.
Okay, let's look at, and that was when you mentioned issues around politics. It was more or less like, okay, that's where we're going next. And so with our politicians, especially the crop of politicians that we have at the moment, and knowing full well that election is just around the corner, in January, the country will be going through another round of election. If you'd like to just take a look at our politicians at the moment and how they come forth to Nigerians with a whole lot of campaign promises, a whole lot of issues as they discuss. Now, talking about whether or not the opposition or the ruling party, now let's just look at them all as politicians. Would you say that they are genuinely being patriotic and not politicking, or in your own language, politicking, knowing full well that as Nigerians, we are a special breed, and sometimes we just tend to sway to a side that can seem to capture our moods and, you know, just capitalize on the moment. So if you take a look at our politicians at the moment, would you say that genuinely they're patriotic, or it is just about self-interest and politics?
Unfortunately, Beams, one must face the brass tacks, and it's not a matter of Me, for instance, pointing one finger.
And that's why I made it easy for you, just to look at politicians generally.
Forgetting that 5 are pointing at me. Who are these politicians? Who are these politicians?
Well, they were picked from us.
Yeah, so they were picked from us. And so if that orientation is such that we do not put character into all the things we do, even those that are being led like the idea of being lied to, what should it be in for me right now? It should be the stomach infrastructure and your capacity to be able to balance that. And that's the point I was making about friction.
Okay.
In my industry, oil and gas industry, if you look at the science of lubrication, we call it tribology, it says the viscosity will be such that at particular intervals, there are certain things you must change. You must have to change them. You have to maintain them. You have to refocus them. You must have to rebuild from inside of you. And if you don't maintain that kind of balance and it tilts on to the negative side, the outcome will be exactly what we have. So do we have politicians who are patriotic? Patriotism, first of all, will have to come from the fact that we all are facing the same direction and we have the same vision, we have the same mission, and we have the same values.
Okay.
And if we have been clobbered together, okay, different tribes, different tongues, and that we now then say willy-nilly, whether you like it or not, you just have to stay there. It's like trying to put a marriage that is not functioning, that could lead onto worse things, just because of that. You know, once you are married, it's marrying and stuff like that. It just doesn't work that way. So, if a section of the federalism that we are pretending to be practicing,
right,
a constitution that is not well cut out fit for purpose because it did not come from the underbelly of the grassroots, imposed, and then you now then get in there, you see certain things that orientations of a section that thinks differently in terms of progress from yours. Progress to some people will be marrying so many underage children out there. Progress for some other people will now be education at all costs. Progress from some other people will now be looking at institutional reforms as we have in INEC.
Right.
Being such that everybody will look at the direction of appointing, reappointing, to be all inclusive and all embracing.
Right.
I will not now be suspicious that because you're a woman, you're going to want to, if you understand, lean towards a woman. If I'm a man, I want to lean towards a man because I believe in my mindset, in my gestalt, in my worldview, that as I know we have in this country,
right.
There are some cultures that just believe that they cannot subcontract themselves to
another sex.
By a woman.
Right.
I was in a plane some time ago, and it was very shocking and surprising.
The pilot.
When the pilot was a lady, and the man just said,
was he going to get off the plane?
And he was not saying, okay.
He was jittery.
Do you think I said you are going to land safely? And that was one of the safest landing that I've done. So, okay.
Can you say?
As
right.
we are going out now, please, let's take permission.
And say congratulations to that woman.
Thank you to that.
Absolutely.
To that lady pilot. Those are some of the things that I begin to see. We are not yet there.
Yeah.
We are far from it. Right from our being clubbed together by
independence and
by the British and
the
all
colonials.
That. We had a lopsidedness. Like that police force has to be a force that it shouldn't be.
Right.
And we are not changing in a velocity that will be able to take us there. So, if it's your turn, it's your turn. If it's not your turn,
then you wait till it's your turn.
You just have to try and wait
until it is your turn.
Brigands are the ones that you are going to support. If you have to now lie, okay?
So be it.
Lie to say that you are going to change direction contrary to what the rules say, just for you to be able to grab power.
Right. Yeah. So from what you've said so far, and the fact that you also corroborated that our leaders were chosen from us, so it's still a cycle of, you know, the leaders and the led still being in the same system. But now let's look at what are some of the examples that the leaders can begin to set for the followers to learn from, so the issue of reawakening, national rebirth, patriotism can be taken more seriously. Because if you look at it, if you look at the way our leaders are also behaving, then it will feel like there's nothing to learn, you know, from them, or there's no patriotism that you can allude to their behaviors. So let's begin to speak to the conscience of our leaders. How should they also comport themselves? What are some of the things that you expect that the leaders should do for the followers to also take a cue from or to learn from, so that we all can begin to talk about patriotism being a national consciousness?
One would be to have a vision of progress, whereby those you are going to lead would not see the direction that you want to go. A leader is one that is capable of taking people to where they should be, but where they don't want to go. Okay. That means you have to have a listening ear. You need to have a compassion. You must not be living in a citadel while those who are leading continue to see you and be looking for crumbs and be doing rankadede. So that is number one.
Okay.
We, as leaders, you must observe what you call the rule of law. Law is made for man and not man for law.
Okay.
And your capacity to be able to adjust and say, wait a minute, this law might not just be fair. Why should I be taking care of me and I alone?
Okay.
Why not about we? Because as in Ubuntu, you win, I win. If I continue to win and you are losing, you will now then be the terrorist that will arise in my flanks. Now, a low hanger, a leader must be able to listen. Even if what those who are being led are singing a different tune.
Okay.
No, I mean, a typical example, if you want me to give an example, will be the position during the First Republic, whereby Obafemi Awolowo had to go virtually on barefoot,
right,
and say you must get educated. And the people say, what is all this education? Don't take our wives away from us. Don't take us from your family. The Ekiti people say, no, that's not going to be. But relentless. And what did he do? He made sure, unlike what we have in our world of today, especially in Nigeria, made sure that his own children also attended
the public schools.
His main cook and his main driver, he made sure they also attended public schools.
Right.
Because he had the viewpoint that if I send Tokumbo Senior, if I send Shegun Senior, if I send Tokumbo, if I send Omolagem, if I send all of them to school, and these other children are out there, they will be out there waiting for them. So that consciousness, to have a vision, to be able to listen, to be able to persuade, to be able to sell what you have, and should not be a politics of do or die.
Absolutely.
And you must now then say you are leading a family, you are leading a country that will not say that it's not negotiable.
Right.
Everything is negotiated because a good example, the good books, the Bible now talked about, if you are a good example, or if you put a lamp, if you put a candle on the bushel, the whole world will see it and will know that you don't have skeletons in your cupboard.
Right.
So we must be able to reorientate ourselves and punish what should be punished, be fair to what I think is common sense and emotionally intelligent. Should power rotate? Must you put it in the Constitution?
Okay.
I mean, does that not just tell you that for consensus, you must be able to find a way to build it? And then Muslim ticket, Muslim Christian ticket,
okay,
and all that. What is the competence that we should look at? Not necessarily wanting to do away with it. And at the end of the day, as a leader and as a listener, you must be averse to listening to harsh truths.
Okay.
And doing something about such harsh truths.
Right.
State your point. Your communication must be well resolved. And if people don't see where you are going, you now need to tell them with facts and figures, as we had, not too long ago,
okay,
Mr. President saying that, there's hardship.
Right.
There is hardship. But let's put all our thinking caps
together to be able to get away with it. As we wrap up this conversation this morning, let's again look at, in a matter of weeks, we should begin to get into the political, the campaign season proper, and then we will begin to hear all sorts from our politicians, of course, from the presidency to the lawmakers to the states. What's your advice for this group of people as they begin to put their thoughts together, to sell their thoughts and their campaigns to Nigerians? How important should it be for them to again look at issues of patriotism rather than continue to divide us as a people on all fronts that we have talked about this morning?
One, in fact, it's closer home than further. I know you are talking about 2027 in a few days' time.
Right.
We should be having the off-cycle elections
in Osun.
In Osun State. And if the past is anything
to go by,
to present, should be able to give us a picture. You see a lot of bickerings here and there, mudslingings here and there, things that make you begin to wonder if the kind of reforms that we are thinking about, police reforms, tax reforms, local government reforms, if a governor has the power of hire and fire to control the police, is this some of the things that we are going to be seeing and all that? So I will be telling them that it is, to repeat, not patriotic to consider politics of bitterness.
Right. Okay.
Brian Waziri said that. And as we move on, one final thing, I say it all the time, Nigeria is negotiable. We cannot continue to do the same thing and expect different results. And we have weaponized the short term. We have weaponized a situation where we go to our town's meeting and village meeting and begin to orientate people to certain things we do. We had done religion very badly. A particular leader at one point in time, just because he was going to go into elections, made that unfortunate statement that, blood of baboons will flow and all that. We must imbibe, for the life of me, something that is very unusual in Africa, in Nigeria, and that is what President Goodluck Jonathan, he did.
Yes. When he
my ambition is not what's the blood of
Nigerians.
Let us make sure we need to do that. And the youth population, please, I know there is a fear that you say your elections will not count, not by boycotting.
Right.
Boycott, you have already given the result to people that perhaps
that may not worth it. Right.
Please, let us watch our elections, let's be sure that at the end of the day, we go into electronic mode of voting,
Okay.
and we can continue to just improve from there.
Right.
And politicians, when you make a promise,
Keep your promises.
try and keep your promises.
Okay.
And if there's any reason why your promise is not going to be kept, the act of a great man is that, yes, I promised,
Right.
now it's not.
So
And
you should give reasons why.
This is the reason why
Okay.
it is not, and this is how I'm going to come back
Okay.
into the trajectory.
All right. A fine place to leave this conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Akin Fatunke, MD, CEO, Kronikla Associates, Communications Consultant. We always appreciate your thoughts anytime you are on the set. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bims. And let's remember, unfortunately, blood will flow. I pray I'm wrong for elections, but let's minimize this as much as possible. And let's speak to one another.
Right.
Religious organizations.
Let's stay
homes.
as one.
Please, let us just make sure that if we win on the bend and we lose at the straight, the overall is that we have lost.
Right.
May Nigeria thrive.
Amen to that. And of course, the conversation this morning is being on national rebirth, that is between patriotism and politicking. And where we're living this conversation this morning is to remind you that national rebirth begins with national interest, and that comes before personal or political interest. The choices made by leaders and citizens alike will shape the future of this country called Nigeria. So remember, you and I have a role to play. We'll take a break here. When we return, Joy will be here with her Lagos conversation.